Apparently the new WoW expansion is dead. It hasn't even come out yet, but it's dead.
Are you interested in finding out how they've ruined the war within already?
Oh, already?
Here we go.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, one thing, they have continually said it's not class skins.
Yeah,
Now,
but,
I think they had a problem where it felt like class skins in some of their earliest marketing. But since then, I have noticed they've continually said these are not class skins. These are ways to lean into a certain vibe with your class. That's
Right.
it. They have specifically multiple times said it's not class skins. So it's that sort of weird thing where if we just sort of go and say they're not class skins, everyone, I'm so angry about this. Blizzard be like, we didn't say they were class skins. We, in fact, multiple times in multiple interviews told you all that they're not class skins. Could you please stop judging them as if they're class skins? So it's that weird thing of like, what do a lot of people want? Class skins. That's not what this is. And it's not trying to be that. But the problem is they, for some reason, right, it's a food analogy. It's like brown rice versus white rice. Listen, I know the brown rice has still got the germ in it and whatever it is, so it's technically healthier.
No, it's not.
But great.
Yeah, I actually heard that brown rice is actually not healthier than white rice, and brown rice is harder to digest, and the whole idea that brown rice is more healthy than white rice is complete bullshit, and it's not even true. And it's actually made me reconsider my entire Chipotle order, which is a big part of my day. And I don't really know if I'm going to do that or not. But yeah, I think we're going to be moving over to white rice. Yeah.
brown rice isn't actually healthy for you
Fantastic.
at all.
Well, I was always told the brown rice was healthier. But
Yeah, I was
always
too.
thought, well,
I was too. I forgot who it was that told me it was fucking bullshit. Well, it was pretty recently.
Screw that. What do I want? White rice. How do I want it? Sticky as fuck. In my gullet. Immediate blood sugar. Let's go.
Cooked and chicken stock. Let's go.
So it's that kind of thing where like, hey, Michael, would you like this? So, something delicious thing with rice. I'll be like, oh, yeah, let's go. Because I'm excited about that thing. I sit down and it's like, it's brown rice. It's overdone. It's not clumped together. I'm like, oh. So it's a bit like that with class skins.
Yeah, well, Joshua Evan asks, "What are you guys talking about?" Good question, actually. We should maybe make that more clear.
Okay, so hero specs.
Hero specs.
They may.
Oh.
Oh no, I feel. Oh, but that's just one of those things where it's like.
So this is the way it is, right? And like these are basically like kind of subclasses. It's like I would say ascendancies in PoE. They're adding this into WoW, where it's like each class spec can be like 2 of the 3. Astrologian. I wonder where they got that from.
You don't know that people are going to get that idea because they haven't got that idea because it hasn't happened yet. That sounds completely insane. That's actually just me talking about causality.
They let the
We're not
fact-
violating causality. But, like, yeah. So they call them this. And I suppose for people are like, oh, yeah, Hellcaster. Or
I
Hellcaller.
really want to be Templar. I really want to be.
Yeah, it's
Which one is it called
McConnell.
again?
Rider of the Apocalypse.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
That's cool as shit. Right of the Apocalypse. Hell yeah. I want
Do
to
you
do that.
guys think these are going to be cool, these hero specs? Because, like, I think they could be cool, but my concern is that I think that if Blizzard tries to make them cool, it won't be balanced. And retail WoW is for a bunch of, like, try-hard nerds. Like, that's what retail WoW is all about. It's not about having fun. It's not about the game class fantasy or anything like that. It's about, making sure that you're able to AoE down a trash pack of mobs while you're continuously stunning them in a Mythic Plus dungeon at level 27 efficiently. So I just can't imagine this being interesting. I mean, Mountain Thane sounds really cool. I'll be honest. What do I think is the coolest one out of all of this? Rider of the Apocalypse. This one, in my opinion, is cooler than all of the other ones probably put together. So if I can't be a Warcraft 2 Death Knight whenever I have the Rider of the Apocalypse thing, I'm out.
I want to be.
Yeah, I'm out.
Thing. Yeah, that's like the fucking hero from Warcraft 3. Give me that shit.
Rider of the Apocalypse. You could be a rad Death Knight.
You could be
Awesome.
You could indeed, yeah.
Scale commander sounds like a bitch.
You want to be a Farseer Shaman? That sounds cool.
Oh wow.
One's called
Sun
Frostfire
Fury.
How much you
Sentinel.
want to bet that Farseer shamans will still have a 40-yard spell range?
Dark Ranger Hunter. I think we're going
Yes.
to talk a little bit about Dark Ranger specifically
actually-
because that's the one that's.
What this is
45,
is
it's 42,
the new
45,
from
yeah.
level 60 to 70, 70 to 80 even.
Do you play this game, Michael? Don't answer that honestly. So here's what they are. They're talent trees. They're mini talent trees that you have access to on top of your existing talent trees.
I think they're cool. I actually do need to. I've been meaning.
I thought they were cool, and then I looked at the Balancered one, and my brain went abort mission. Get me
You
out
know
of here.
what? Talk about playing WoW as a next topic, because I'm continually seething because I've not been able to play enough because I've basically just been trying to solve problems and make things good here. But it's actually getting to the point where I go home and there's like two things in my head. It's make a really good Notion template and play World of Warcraft. And I keep having to do the Notion template because that's useful for like other people here. But I'm like, and then me and Dakor, we've been talking about like, God, you know what'd be really cool? Just having fun in WoW. For him instead of all the sweat stuff. So maybe I actually do want to talk
I
about...
think retail WoW is so far down the sweat, the sweat path that it will never become a non-sweat game again. Like if they want to make the game no longer a sweaty game, they need to make it to where the API can't read, like you can't read anything with an add-on with an API. Because that's really where the problem comes from. Is like everything in WoW is like so hyper fixated around being like optimized because everybody has like 75 different tools for how to play the game. And like everything in the game is like such an, like doing a raid is such an abstraction from doing a normal raid from like back in the day. I can't tell what's going on here. This must be retail. Yeah, this is retail. And so we're just going to pause this and look at it. What the fuck is going on? And if you've played the game a lot, you know exactly what the fuck is going on. Like this is obviously tracking all of the internal cooldowns of all of the different classes. These are their debuffs. This is, I'm assuming, probably an interrupt rotation. This is the spell cast of, I guess, the target that's on their focus. This is the mob here. Like this is all the debuffs and the buffs as well. Like these are his spells. Those are damage done and damage done for the different pack. Like I mean, you know what all of this is if you've played the game a lot. But at the end of the day, think about how much different this is versus just what the game looks like without any of this. Like you go and you look at this. Like this is just me doing BWL. There's not as much shit going on. This is classic WoW, right? It's pretty simple to understand comparatively. Now, obviously, I have like a big DPS meter up, but there's really not a lot going on comparatively. Now, obviously, if you've never played the game, both of these things look relatively impenetrable. But in my opinion, I would say that the retail WoW is just, with add-ons and everything, it's just too much, man.
In a little bit.
It's
But
cluttered.
anyway,
It's
these
too
hero
much.
specs. Sorry for breaking the flow on you, everyone. Yeah, they're basically they're that. You've talked about them.
And it's like I feel like a good. Here's like really what the bottom line is. Why would I want to play that? Like if I'm a new player, how could I possibly see that and be like, oh, this is fun. This is what I want to get involved with. That's the issue.
will be better than others. Blizzard overtly said, because I do want to be fair to them, they overtly said that they want to get the designs for these out early, and they want to do that so they can iterate heavily. They even said, like, if you think that some of these ideas...
Somebody says, wouldn't you think about the same thing about PoE? No, because if you watch somebody playing PoE, you will have the fundamental same experience as they do. Like, for example, is there somebody actually just doing a map? Yeah, is just a guy doing a map. Okay, so... Okay, yeah, this is a lot different than normal PoE. Anyway, like, the potions are in the same place. The spells are in the same place. There's a health bar and a mana bar. Like, fundamentally, if you've played PoE, you are having the same experience as somebody who is playing the game on stream. Now, obviously, if you know a lot about the game, it's going to be completely different. But the disparity between what somebody sees in like a top player UI in WoW versus what an average person is experiencing, these are two completely different games. And I think it's so much the case that it becomes impenetrable for a new player. Because there's a reason why these players have all those tools and those resources. It's because those increase their awareness and make them better at the game.
Of like a fantasy are
So
lame,
people feel
tell
like they
us.
need to have it.
They're
Like
gonna
they
get a lot
literally
of
said that at
feedback.
BlizzCon.
Some of the Warlock boys, Soul Harvester, Hellcolor, Diabolist. What the fuck
Diabolist.
is this conduit of the Celestials?
Lightning Rod? Yeah.
What? Okay, cool. Sure, fine. Well, you know, you can immediately tell there's some of these that aren't that exciting, basically.
Yeah, and they, I think, knew some of that themselves, which is why they asked for feedback. So
yeah, they're like,
that
this is
basically-
some first draft shit.
Yeah,
Please.
it's to say that they were fairly open and they were overtly receptive to feedback, and they continually said that they're not class skins. And it's that challenging thing. This has an overlap with an ideal version of the thing that we all can agree would be really awesome if they could do it. And it has enough of an overlap that it then conjures in your...
They can't do it. They can't do it because the game is built so much around balance. Blizzard is too fixated on making the game balanced in order to make it fun. They will never add something into the game that's fun to play unless it's balanced. Like, you're not going to have a situation where, like, you had Death Knights and, like, Wrath, or you had, like, even, like, Warriors and Classic WoW. And, like, not that even you really want that, but it's just not, they're not going to do anything that's, like, really groundbreaking. Like, even Demon Hunters and Legion were crazy.
mind what a full Dark Ranger sub-spec or something would be.
Yeah, and this is exactly why
Which it
I've seen it be connected to Garrisons too, in the sense that it's like, this is, it's not even like it's trying to be. It's literally just, this is kind of...
Well, Augmentation is a great example. Like, Augmentation completely split the community and people are furious about it. Like, I hear all the time that, like, nobody likes Augmentation Evokers because they're not just, like, raw DPS, and everybody feels like they need to have them. Nobody asked for Augmentation. A lot of people have wanted support classes. Ever since Vanilla WoW, they have. That's not true.
We can't commit to giving you exactly what you want. For whatever reason.
Yeah,
be it
tons of people
production
wanted
heavy,
that.
We don't think it's a good idea, etc., etc., etc. But, like, obviously, as, like, Saphras points out, it's like, we could have just had class skins that are completely optional aesthetics change, but instead you're forced into two options that might not fit. Mm-hmm. And now, we could have just had is a massively loaded statement. Because it's like, what's your source for we could have just had? But from the player perspective and experience, you go, well, would you rather have some extra gameplay choices that are in here? It's like, yeah, they want to increase power. They want to give us more talents. And this is their solution. Their solution was, we can make mini talent trees, but we have to frame them in some capacity. Oh, this is a good idea to add little bits of tiny bits of fantasy.
Yeah.
So we can create effectively what are really miniature subspecs. And we'll have those subspecs shared because we kind of like a little bit of that. Just have them shared. Makes more sense. We don't have to do one individually. We can like make them kind of work across so you can have access to these aesthetics and these kind of, not class skins, but these abilities, right? So obviously, if you want to be a Dark Ranger, that's for BM and for Marksmanship Hunter. So like, you want to be a Dark Ranger? Yeah, you can be a Dark Ranger without being locked into one specific spec. That's cool. What is Dark Ranger? You get Black Arrow and a couple of things. I think the problem is someone goes, well, do you want to be a Dark Ranger or do you want to be,
Somebody says, how would I do it? I think that the problem isn't really... There's no one thing that's wrong. Like, retail WoW has evolved in a way that it's like a house of cards. So, like, if you change one thing in the game, it will negatively affect a lot of other things in the game. I think that the game needs, like, I think it needs a really big reset. I think there's too much of everything. I actually like the idea of the hero specs, and it's something that I always thought would be really cool. But I think with a lot of them, they're not going to take risks. Like, I don't know why. Like, why are priests? Why do they not have like a cultist one, where it's like a melee priest that runs really fast or something? I think that would be way cooler than Oracle. I mean, personally, I think it would be cooler. And so some of these other ones, like, yeah, is there a witch doctor? Yeah, there should be a witch doctor for a shaman. Absolutely. Or a warlock, one or the other. I don't know. Like, like, there's not an inquisitor from a paladin? How is there not an inquisitor? I don't know, man. I think a lot of people are positive on retail, at least versus after the other previous expansions. I mean, sure, but to me, like, I feel like I can't get into the game because there's so many things that are in the game. Like, there's just so much to it. And I've never really, I don't feel that way with Lost Ark. I don't feel that way with Final Fantasy. I don't feel that way with New World. But, like, WoW just has, like, all of these extra, like, verticals of difficulty that, like, no other game has.
A shadow pan.
And just, not even difficulty, like, complexity.
What have people had in their heads for these specs, these kind of additional aesthetic addition to classes? Yeah. All these aesthetic overrides of things. Because one of the things they pointed out was the Mountain Thane Warrior literally changes abilities, gives him more of that vibe. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it was. It was like there's more lightning during Thunderclap. You can Thunderclap a lot more. There's what is it? Is it like Stormbolt splits and hits like 3 targets with Lightning Blast as well?
Wow.
Stuff like that, you're like, that's kind of crazy. That feels like a tiny version of what we could have with a full overhaul. And that's where we get into like this really full this, like, I guess basically it is just an issue of people wanting a thing and not getting it directly, getting it slightly in a different format.
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to be that. But it still takes away from that.
Yeah.
Because the problem of the player looking at this is cool, but I wanted this. And they're like, we were never offering you that as a binary choice. But it's almost like, hey, you're hungry? Well, here's some, like, here's a bottle of Lucozade. And you're like, sure, there's sugar in that. Sure, but I was hungry, not thirsty.
It is of type consumable.
Yeah.
But it is not of subtype food. Therefore, I'm unsatisfied.
Yeah, it's someone's hungry and
that's a good way to look at it.
You don't give them something to eat. You give them something to drink that's reasonably nutritious. Something along the lines of, well, like a Gatorade in the US or else. Or like, cool, that's not it.
Prime energy.
Food, like, we weren't offering you food.
So sort of
Like,
going through our statistic...
You know, but Blizzard doesn't understand after the failures of the past of player power connected systems, it's constant half measures instead of giving players what they're asking for. I think there's like too many variables. Like every class has too many variables. And Blizzard dialed a lot of that back with Dragonflight, and I think it was a good decision to do that. But like even now, there's just too many things that are in the game. Like I honestly, I'm not kidding whenever I say I think one of the best things for the game would be for them to reset the game completely. Reset the mechanics, reset the class design, reset everything. Because I feel like the game has just been so over-designed for so many years. Like, for example, like there's like a disorient and there's also a sap. And incapacitate. There's a hex, and then there's a polymorph. This is insane. This is an unnecessary level of complexity that does not make the game better. It just makes it annoying and hard to understand for an average person coming into the game. CC is CC, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's convoluted. Asmongold speaks for all casuals. Yeah, I kind of do. Like, I'm not really playing the game hardcore right now. You're right, and that's that. This is my perspective as like more of a casual player now. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that feel the way that I do.
Very significant, absurdly representative, commensurately true subsampling of tweets, which obviously represents the entire World of Warcraft community.
Yeah, full on like walking out the street and picking random people. Like this is what this is. This is what this is. It's like this is what it feels like a half measure, even though from creation, it isn't in any capacity designed to be that. It's not supposed to. It just feels this way.
So certainly,
Especially with now, obviously, a lot of these people are people who are not gameplay oriented.
Hyper-prioritizing gameplay in a manner that undermines player experience with chosen fantasy of the RPG elements for the RPG is otherwise an ongoing detriment to the game. We don't want to have class skins to change the experience of our spells. They don't need to serve gameplay, just visuals. We just want different colored spells and cool pets. I'm going to say it. I think it'd be really cool if you could have a Death Knight that could do combat on a mount. I think that'd be really cool. And they can't wear plate armor anymore. They need to wear mail armor. Yeah. That would be awesome. Now, are they ever going to do that? Probably not. But that's the kind of stuff that I'd want to see too. But it's just like this kind of stuff doesn't get added into the game because it's not... It's not balanced, basically. And I think that, again, the game is like so hyper-optimized by people that play it professionally that you're never going to have cool, fun things like that added into the game.
That as far as I can tell from looking at them.
I mean, think about augmentation, how much problems that created.
Cool? Why can't I just fucking look cool? Which is, you're going to get a lot of the problem, right? Where this is gameplay design that is smuggled in under the aesthetic change.
Yes.
Or that's how it feels like. People who want the aesthetic change.
I think what I will say, if I'm going to plant my flag in the ground in this one, is I think class skins would be absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
I did not expect class skins. I am not disappointed that we're not getting class skins.
I'm going to be honest. I could care less about that. Maybe I'm weird, but I think it would be cool if you had new spells that you could opt into. That'd be cool. Like class skins, like, yeah, that's nice. Like you should add that too. But like whenever I'm a mountain thane, I want to do like, I want to have it to where like my heroic leap does more damage than a mortal strike, because that would be really cool.
I realistically think that they probably have a lot of artists working on big features for Midnight. I think that
class skins Midnight is
take like animation department. I know that they have a pretty damn heavy workload.
Why not both?
As they
Good
update
point.
all of the mounts, or at least as many as they can do. So, like, yes, more things in the best way possible would be great. Obviously, 10.2.6 is player housing. That's Holly's surprise confirmed. But I'm still, I'm not going to be like, well, because it's not the best version of what it could be, I hate it. Because as I look at this, I'm like, you know what? Sure, that seems like...
Well, and also people are saying the Mountain Thane seems like it's not fun. Okay, imagine if Shockwave was your main ability and it actually did like a rumbling like earth attack. Imagine if you had like the kind of like the Diablo 3 barbarian leap thing where it would create an earthquake under you. Imagine if you had upheaval. Like I feel like there's tons of things like that. Thunderclap. Yeah, exactly. Like why not be able to like have for example, if you're a mountain thane, you can only use a hammer maybe. I don't know. I think that stuff would be really cool. And if you do that, you can like call down like a lightning strike. You know how like Captain America did on like Thanos and Endgame? Like that'd be fucking awesome.
A cool way of letting me lean into some different things for my, for my classes, and I also respect
Thor
that they're doing it in a way where
obviously
they're not
Thor,
kind of committing to infinite vertical progression of the talent trees. So like
a Blade
for me
Master?
overall,
Yeah.
I'm like, this seems reasonable and positive.
Yeah. Because that's what it is in isolation from expectation.
Yes.
It's the problem of expectation brings dissatisfaction over the quotas. It's like, You go, I would have liked class skins. You're like, you brought class skins to the table. No one ever said class skins. No one was ever vaguely considering it. But you brought it to the table. Thus, being disappointed is on you. But also,
I think players can be. It's fair for players to be disappointed whenever they think that they're getting one thing and they're not getting it. Like, I would say, yeah, for sure, that's totally fair. And also, like, whenever people aren't getting something, then maybe Blizzard should look at why is it that everybody wants this thing? So yeah, I think that people are right to complain about it, but I think that the real problem with WoW is, like, just on a fundamental level, the way that the game is designed. Like, the game is designed in a way that is built completely around optimization and min-maxing. And that's happened because you have 15 years of optimization and min-maxing. And, like, in classic WoW, it's not as bad. It's still there, but it's not as pronounced. It's not as important.
there's the reality of, if your players are disappointed, then that is your problem to deal with as a developer, which is really annoying.
Yes.
But it's also literally true. Like, how do you deal with this?
People say it's like every MMO now. I think that every MMO is always going to be about min-maxing to an extent, but the levels of min-maxing that WoW has are outside of the game, and I think it makes the game worse. So, like, this is maybe a really unpopular take, but I wish Blizzard would disable the functionality of every single add-on in every single capacity. No add-ons. Period. Literally 0 add-ons. No API reading. You can't do that unless, like, you know, for example, you know, you're running some sort of like cheat engine or something like that. Like the whole fixation on like Warcraft. Like, I think that I raided in WoW. I started raiding in really vanilla, but like I started like seriously raiding in TBC. And the difference in gameplay after, like, before and after parses became the culture of the game was night and day. Like, back in the day, you would have people that were really good at doing mechanics and they were considered the best players in the guild. And now it's all about who's doing the most damage. And this is like just in general, if you're doing a pug or you're doing something like that. People always cared about damage, but like that wasn't the end all and be all. In the same way that like now, like I haven't played in like the last like year, like super seriously, but whenever I played before then, I'm assuming it's probably about the same now, people are playing for parses more than they're playing to kill the boss.
Extremely good communication and doing the right thing at all times, which is kind of the problem.
So let's take a look at Dark Ranger then.
Actually, just before you say that, actually, like, that's a good point, Pavel. It takes away from the chance of us getting class skins, like a Battle for Gilneas. Yeah, it's like this. This is now
Fair. That's a good point.
There is overlap between this and class skins, which now means because this has happened, we're substantially less likely to get class skins. Almost completely unlikely to get them, because you're not going to get a Dark Ranger skin that changes all your stuff to Dark Ranger. If you've got a Dark Ranger ability called Black Arrow, that's there, and that's one of the other problems where it's still like class skins were never even brought to the table as like a possibility ever, but it's just we've wanted it, expected it for so long.
Yeah, it's just some people have made really cool looking bits of art and put them in Reddit, and everyone's went, "Oh, look at that!" And then all the artists at Blizzard have probably thought, "Oh, look at that!" And then their producers and team are like, "Yeah, but you know, we sort of
It's
have
not
to
going to
ship the
happen,
game."
though. Yeah.
Slight problem.
It's sad that people are already disappointed about the new expansion, but this is kind of what happened with Shadowlands and Covenants. Is that, like, Blizzard kind of pushed something in that, like, players didn't want to have, and they were just like, yeah, it doesn't really matter, we're going to do this anyway. Like, your video? Yeah, I think so too. I'll go ahead and give it a like. I don't know why I'm not subscribed to the Bellier Eclipse channel. That's weird. It should be, honestly, break add-ons or the game won't be good anymore. Yeah, I genuinely think add-ons are bad for the game. And I don't think that it's a good idea to try to distinguish between good add-ons and bad add-ons. I think Final Fantasy XIV has got it right. Use add-ons, you're banned. Period. If you want something in the game, then ask for it to be in the game. It adds to the toxicity. Well, what it really does is like, so like you go back and like you look at this, right? So basically, the add-ons create a bigger gap between the worst and the best players. Because you have the worst players that are down here, and you're never going to get bad players that are new to the game to download add-ons because they're new to the game and they're bad players. Just by the nature of the fact of what they are means that they're not going to do this kind of content. So the difference really should be from, let's say, from here to here. But instead, the difference in skill is from here to here. And this is a much bigger difference, right? Because you look at the level of awareness that, like, let's say this guy has with his UI, and this level of awareness is incredible. Like, the amount of tools and resources that he has to make himself a better player are just astronaut. Like, a good play, like, somebody without add-ons would not be able to have this much information. They might be able to keep, like, maybe a third of it in their head, but like that's also taking mental awareness away from what's happening in the game at like a second-to-second level. So what ends up happening is that good players keep getting better and bad players stay the same. Because bad players get rotated in and out because they're always new players. So like the skill cap for somebody who's played the game for 10 years, who's continuously iterated and gotten better at the game, well, guess what? Those people are going to continuously get better and better and better, and the new players aren't. And then whenever the content keeps getting designed for these really, really good players, then the bad players aren't going to have anything to do. And this is actually like a really great example is that like Elden Ring is a great example of how From Software didn't make this mistake. Because Elden Ring is not that much harder than Dark Souls 3. It's not like a tremendous, massive skill gap. Yeah, they've got a couple of bosses that are really hard. Like, for example, Melania. Melania is very hard. But other than that, it's actually quite an easy game. In a lot of cases, especially if you look for outside resources and you use all the tools that are available to you. So why is it that they did that? And a lot of people criticized Elden Ring, and they said that it's too easy. Well, of course it's too easy for you, Mr. I've done Dark Souls 1 17 times. I've beaten Dark Souls 3 9 times. I played Bloodborne 3 times. I've beaten Sekiro. Big fucking surprise, the new game is also easy for you. But the reality is that if you just keep upping the ante and making the game harder and harder and harder, you end up alienating just like the average player. And I think that's what's happened. I think that's kind of what happened with Lost Ark, too, to be honest with you. And even more so, that's what happened with WoW. Because Lost Ark just got harder fights. And also, WoW, a lot of the skill level and like the awareness that people have in the game is artificial. And that's, I think, the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the fact that the skill level in the game that people have and the level of awareness that they have isn't real. It's artificial. It's because they have a lot of add-ons. It's because they have tools that increase their awareness. It's because they have a like an add-on that tells them to move whenever they're supposed to move. So it's not even that like it's like good players are not only good players because they have better awareness, they also have add-ons, and those add-ons act as like a multiplier for how much better they are than a bad player. Get good? Well, I mean, I wish Blizzard would get good and make the game better. Like, it's not about like getting good at the game. Like, it is only a video game, right? And like being good at the video game doesn't matter, and there's no impact or meaning in it at all. There's no light at the end of the tunnel where all of the time that you've invested into the game is going to matter. It'll never matter. It's just a video game. So at the end of the day, the video game should be fun. And if the video game isn't fun, then it doesn't matter if it's hard or not. Because people spent so much time saying, get good. Well, now nobody cares if you're good. Nobody cares if you're good in Arena. Nobody cares if you're good in Mythic Plus. The world first race is popular for a week, and then nobody cares about that either. That's it. So that's what happens whenever you spend 15 years telling people to get good, is people just instead play good games. That's the issue. And I think that's what's happened with WoW. They get good games? Yeah, exactly. Some people get paid because they're good too. Yeah, but they get paid a lot less than they would if there was a lot of people that cared about being good. The problem is that nobody cares about the quality of the game. And nobody cares about the skill in the game. Like, I think that you guys don't really... And you see this whenever we do like a... link the video. Yeah, I'll link it again. Whenever we do a tournament, there's guys like Zico that are so good that people don't even know how good they are. Like, it's literally like, oh, what's their power level? We don't even know. That's how good they are. But that skill level isn't appreciated in like a wider gaming community because the game hasn't fostered a casual audience to respect it. And it's sad. I think that's really the saddest thing about all of it, is that like you have people that have invested like Peekaboo, like Venruki, Zico, Sidu. Like these are people who are, like, as I said, they're so good at the game. Mez, they're so good at the game, you don't even know how good they are. And these are only just PvP players, right? I mean, there's like raiders, of course, that are the same way. And Zaryu, Snuts, yeah, like Dorky, like he's fucking insane. Max is really good at the game, right? I mean, he's in the top guild. He's a raid leader of the top guild. Like, he's so good that people don't even know how good he is. Yummy, yeah, exactly. Trill, 100%. Sony, yeah, a lot of these guys are insane. And the culture around gaming right now doesn't reward them for that level of skill. And it's sad. And this is the problem, right? Is that why would you want to play with somebody who's intentionally handicapping themselves? If add-ons make you better at the game and give you more awareness, why would you want to play with a person who is refusing to use something that makes them better at the game? It's the same reason why I don't bring rep paladins to raids. Like, the only reason I do it with McConnell is because it's McConnell. The truth is that for everybody else, like, no, why would I bring somebody who's bad? Like, if I see somebody who's not putting in their effort, I don't want to ever give that person... Like, I feel like if you go into a raid and you are allowing some people to put in partial effort and other people not to put in partial effort, well, then you create a reward structure around putting in partial effort, and the people that are putting in full effort leave. So that's what happens. You discriminate on rats? I discriminate on anybody that doesn't put in, like, if you're not enchanting your gear, if you're not performing well. If I know you, obviously I'm going to give you special treatment because that's just the way it is. But otherwise, no, I absolutely discriminate. Like, if somebody is not like fully ready, or they're not like enchanted, or I don't feel like they're prepared, then yeah, fuck them. Fuck them. That's it. Conditions players to play around someone with a good streak more than someone with consistency around objectives. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Unprepared people need to go. Yeah, why would you play with somebody who's unprepared? It's kind of common sense whenever you think about it. They waste people's time. Yeah, exactly. Of course you discriminate. They're wasting your time. Yeah, that's just how it is. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I just think, wow, like, it's just... There's just so much problems in the game, and there's so much to the game. It's too much, man. It's just simply too much. Everything about it is too much.